Go, Jackie.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
So, Prof, I think I have a little delay when we're doing the show. It's like there's a delay before I come on. So, how are you, Prof?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm okay. When's graduation?
What is that now?
No, I said when's graduation?
Who's graduating?
I mean, for your university, when is graduation?
Oh, it's the 20th.
Ah, okay. Because ours is tomorrow.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it was the 20th. Yeah. So today I like the topic today. I have been waiting for this topic, Prof. So we're on today. We want to welcome our viewers. As always, we want to welcome Boyina, who's watching from Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. Hi, Boyina. Hope you're well. And our topic today is I think I can put it up. It's okay. Let's see if it's gonna go up. I say, Prof, I have is it justice, law, and mercy in the Merchant of Venice? And I'm sure a lot of people have read the Merchant of Venice, and we will give a little. Prof, you say, well, you don't think a lot of people have read the Merchant of Venice?
We can say. I will say some may have read it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well. At the University of Liberia, it was assumed that we all have read The Merchant of Venice, or those of us who are in the English department. So we're
Yeah.
going to be discussing it today. Um, and for those of you who haven't read it, we'll give a little synopsis of The Merchant of Venice. I kind of put the characters together, and then I found a diagram on the web to be able to explain The Merchant of
Yeah.
Venice to those who have not read it. But The Merchant of Venice is a play by Shakespeare. Interestingly enough, Prof, this play was listed as a comedy.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah, which was very interesting to me. Yeah, that it was listed as a comedy. But
Yeah.
of course we know that. I mean, really, I was surprised of
Why?
them put in that genre. But anyway, we know that it was written by William Shakespeare as a comedy, although I don't think it's one. I don't know
What?
what Prof would say. And it was written, and I have it up. I don't know what's wrong with my computer, but it was written between 1596 and 1598. So the play is basically about. First of all, I'm going to be the devil's advocate, but Prof, feel free to jump in. I have the diagram, so maybe they can follow the diagram as we explain it. But there is something wrong with my computer because it's not showing what it should be showing. I want to show the diagram, Prof, and then we can go from there. So basically, the play is about a young man who is in love with a young woman, and he wants to impress her. So he decides that in order to impress her, he needs to borrow money so that he can go and show her that okay, he has money too, because a lot of the people who are coming to court her, they are very wealthy. So he goes to his friend Antonio to borrow money. But we will see, instead of telling you the synopsis, since Boyino says she hasn't read the book, let's just look at the characters and then we can start explaining from there. Is that okay, Prof?
Yeah. Whatever
Okay.
will get the audience on.
Okay. So I don't know if they can see the. Okay. So here is the slide, and as you can see, so Brasinio is the one who is in love with Portia. Can you see it, Prof?
Yes.
Okay, and so
Um,
Brasinio wants to impress Portia by showing her that he's wealthy. But interestingly enough, Prof, reading this play again, it brought out some things that I didn't know. Brasinio has spent his money unwisely through drink and other things. So he's not somebody that I would think that he's such a good person. But he goes to Antonio, who is his friend, to borrow money from Antonio because he feels that when he has money, he can impress Portia. So he goes to Antonio to borrow money from Antonio. Antonio says to him, "Well, right now I don't have money because right now my ships that I get the money from, they are bringing goods and they're on the sea. But my name is good enough. I have a good character. So if you go and tell the people then you need to borrow money and use my name, what's going to happen is that they're going to lend you money. So go and borrow money from them." Brasinio says fine. And he goes to borrow money using Antonio's name. And he borrows money from Shylock. But feel free to step in at any time. But we just want to give a little synopsis. He borrows money from Shylock. But I hope you are okay, okay. But I hope you're listening. So Brazanio, he borrows money from Shylock. Huh, Prof?
Go. Yes.
Yes, he borrows money from Shylock and using Antonio's name, right? Antonio says, "Yes, I'm good for it. So I will pay the money back because my ships are coming." Brasinio goes, he impresses Portia. right? He picks the casket and everything, and he gets Portia. But in that meantime, why they're supposed to pay Shylock back, Antonio gets news that that ship, those ships that you said were coming and they were going to bring goods, the ship, all of them have sunk off the coast or pirates or what happened. So no money coming, you have to pay Shylock. Now the interesting thing about paying Shylock is that Antonio and Shylock, they don't get along. And you will see as we go on to discuss, they don't get along. So what happens is that when they were borrowing the money from Shylock, Shylock said to them, okay, I will give you the money you want, but I want something else. And what did he want, Prof?
Mm-hmm. Listening.
He wanted a pound of Antonio's flesh.
Yeah.
He didn't just want the money, he wanted a pound of Antonio's flesh. But Antonio,
If
because he
Antonio
thought that,
doesn't pay.
yeah, if Antonio didn't pay, he would cut off a pound of Antonio's flesh. And here comes I would say, the arrogance of certainty, right, Prof?
Yeah.
Antonio says, I will sign the document. Brazinio says, don't sign this document. Antonio says, my ships are coming. I will sign the document and the money will come and we'll pay Shylock. Lo and behold, the ships didn't bring money, they sunk. Antonio had no money, and Shylock said, let me sharpen my knife. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
So Antonio says, let me sharpen my knife, because when I'm ready now for my pound of flesh. The law is the law. I want my money. So this is where justice and mercy comes in. So in the meantime, Brazinio is already married to Portia. His friend Grazanio is married to Nerissa. So now they leave Nerissa and Portia and they go to try and do what? And save Antonio. Portia hears about that, and Portia decides that she's going to dress up as a lawyer, and she and Nerissa, they're going to go and pretend to be lawyers to save Antonio. So, Prof, I think we should stop there for a little bit and start talking. We will go into the courtroom, but and Prince will go into the courtroom later. But here, that's the scene we've laid out.
See.
Shiloh wants his flesh, and he doesn't care about anything. The law is the law. You sign the paper. So I want my pound of flesh because you didn't pay. So Prof, one of the things I think we should do is that the language of the play is so beautiful. Reading it again and again, I was like, wow. So I thought that I thought that we could read some of the play when we are discussing Shylock and Antonio and Portia and all the others. What say you?
Okay. We have to keep in mind that a few things create the tension.
Yes.
There is a sort of religious tension. Shylock is often put off by the religious arrogance of the time. Antonio is a Christian, and the Christians at the time take pleasure in their magnanimity. Antonio is a merchant who often like the Christian principle, gives out money but does not add exorbitant interest.
Interest, yeah.
He prides himself as not being a usurer, someone who adds a lot of money to the interest. Sherlock, on the other side, is a Jew, and he believes in topping whatever interest he adds to uh, the money that he lends. And it's like, and what are they bluffing for? And so when the moment comes and he and Antonio enter the contract, uh, it's like, I've got them now. So that tension exists, and that's why every now and then it is repeated that he, Sherlock, whether it's in an aside or it's direct, he says that he hates these people and what have you. The
Yeah.
other
So
thing
so
is, the other thing is that Bassanio is not liked very much by Portia's father. Portia's father is a hard-nosed person who believes that the daughter is so good that he can't just throw her out to just anybody. That is all the reason why he often gives the suitors a test, a test of having them choose from one of three caskets. One that is gold, the other silver, the other is lead. And in one of the caskets, he planted the photograph of the daughter. And it is the test that Bassanio wins, and the marriage and everything are set. So the question of the religious tension, the question of class tension, and what have you, should be understood as the audience works through the play.
and that's where they saying all that glitters is not gold comes from. Is
Correct.
in that, yes, yes.
Because
All that glitters is not gold.
people who run for the gold
Gold
casket,
casket.
and whoops, it's not there, and that sort of a thing. Yeah.
So we've come this far. Antonio ships didn't make it.
Yeah.
Antonio owes Shylock money,
Yeah.
and Shylock wants his money. I mean, Shylock doesn't want his money. Shylock said, "Oh yeah, you can't pay. I don't care. I want my 1 pound of flesh."
Yeah, Mama, Mama,
The bond is the bond. Now, there's something wrong with the when I try to put it up because it's not showing. But I really want Prof to be able to read the the text because it. I mean, it's so rhythmic and it's so beautiful. That I don't want because don't forget people. When we read this thing when we were little, people used to say, "Oh, Shylock, Prof, I feel Shylock was wronged."
Hmm. How so?
I feel that Shylock was wrong. But anyway, let me try and let me try and see if I can work my magic with this with the so years I think this is really, I mean, I don't know, this is really something that is taking so long for the slides to go up because I really would like to read the slides. You okay? You see it? Okay, Antonio tells Brasinho, "Thou knowest that my okay, so I have a little delay on mine. So I guess but when Brasinho went to Antonio to ask him for money, right? You see that Bazinho, he misspent his money. He say, "Tis not unknown," and all of these are quotes from the play. "Tis not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled my estate by something showing a more swelling port than my fin means would grant continuance." So this guy used to drink, Prof.
Yes.
Yeah, he used to drink,
A
So he's
playboy.
asking, he's a playboy. And now he's asking Antonio, "I owe the most in money and in love. And from your love, I have a warranty to unburden you all my plots and purposes, how to get clear of the debts I owe." You see,
Yeah.
so he puts Antonio in a difficult situation because Antonio is waiting for his ship to come in. I think that's where the phrase comes from, my ship to come in. So he's waiting for his ship to come, and he say, "Thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea.
Yeah.
Neither have I money nor commodity to raise a present sum. Therefore, go forth, try what my credit can in Venice do." So he said, "Carry my good name,"
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So when he gets to Shylock now, he wants 3,000 ducats for
Yeah.
3 months. Yeah. And he tells Shylock that Antonio will stand for him, will be his bond,
Yeah.
you know? And Shylock, I think using sarcasm, Shylock said, "Well, Antonio is a good man, you know?" And Basilio said, "Well, have you heard anything that he's not a good man?" So
Yeah.
Shylock now, knowing he hates Antonio, but Basilio doesn't know that. Basilio just thinks that Shylock is just lending money, So he says, but we will give you the money back, 3,000. So
Mm.
Shylock said, "No, no, 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 no. My meaning in saying he is a good man is that have you understand me that he is sufficient, right?" But
Mm. Mm.
Prof, listen to this. Shylock knows what's happening to Antonio
Yeah.
because Shylock says his means are in superstition. So which means they made money, they're not real money.
Mm.
He had an accuracy bound to Tripoli, another to
Yeah.
the Indies, more onto the
Mm.
Riyadh. He had a third at Mexico, a fourth for England and other
Mm.
ventures he has squandered abroad. But
Mm.
ships are but boards, sailors but men. There
Mm.
be land rats and water thieves and land thieves. I
Mm.
mean pirates. And then there is the perils of water, winds, and rocks.
Mm.
So Shylock is saying to them, don't be so sure that there's money coming.
Mm.
You got too many ships around. You got rats all around. You got pirates. Then there's the perils of water,
But
right?
Shala is a merchant too now, so
Yeah,
he
so
know all those
he's
things.
looking. Yeah, he's looking at what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And then, like you just mentioned, Prof, about the aside, Shylock hates Antonio, Antonio
Yeah.
hates Shylock.
Yeah.
So on the aside, Shylock says, "How like a fawning publican he looks. I
Mm.
hate him for he is a Christian, but
Okay.
more for that in low simplicity." And then Antonio saying to Basinio about Shylock, he said the devil can cite scriptures for his purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the perfect storm.
It
You
is.
hate the man, but you borrow money from the man.
Mhm.
Eh? Why you borrow money from the man if you hate the man?
It's a matter of circumstances now. I guess left to his own design and wishes, he won't have borrowed the or he won't have striven to borrow the money. And it
Yeah,
is Bassanio who creates the circumstance and all that. So one can see at first Antonio's feet dragging approach to this credit. getting this credit.
So Antonio asked Shylock, well, Shylock, shall we be beholden to you? So Shylock says to him, Signor Antonio, many a time and often in the Rialto you have rated me about my money and my usances. Still
Okay.
have I borne it with a patient shrug,
Mm,
right? You call me misbeliever, you call me cutthroat dog,
mm,
and you spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and
uh-huh,
all for the use of that which is mine own.
mhm,
Well, now it appears you need my help.
mhm,
What should I say to you? Should I
mhm,
not say, have a dog money?
mhm,
Or shall I bend low and in a bondsman key with bated breath say,
mhm,
fair sir, you spit on me on Wednesday, you
mhm,
spurn me such a day, you call me dog, and for
mhm,
these courtesies I'll lend you this money?
uh-huh.
So
So
you see, bro?
that reminds me a little about Edgar Allan Poe's story, which is titled "The Cask of Amontillado."
Motilado, yes.
Yes, where a friend who thought he was often wronged decides to avenge himself when the friend ventures on insult. So here we see Shylock, uh, who some would say had been uh, disrespectful of him, of Shylock. Antonio, it is the very Antonio now that comes in and wants to wants to seek credit on behalf of his friend Bassanio. Uh-huh.
And so Shylock said, "You call me dog. Does a dog have money?" You
Uh-huh.
know. So Shylock is reminding him of all of what he has done.
Yeah.
And Antonio is not sorry. Antonio
Mhm.
says, "I will call you a dog again."
Mhm.
You know, will you lend me the money or no? I don't have time
Mhm.
for this.
Mhm.
You know, and he said you I should forget the and Shylock now is saying to him, so you want me to forget the shame that you have stained me with,
Yeah.
you know? And Shylock says, I will show you kindness.
Mhm.
Go with me to the notary public, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And you will sign your bond.
Yeah.
But then Shylock says to him, and in marriage sport, so
Mhm.
Shylock said, I only joking, in marriage sport, if you repay me not on such a day, be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me.
Yeah.
So I can take the pound of flesh from anywhere I want.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Anywhere I want.
Yeah.
Antonio says, I will see you to such a bond.
Mhm.
Nangbe, but Prince, yeah, it is. Uh, 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 uh. Antonio says, yes, I will sign the contract. You can take a pound of flesh from me from anywhere you want to take the flesh, right,
Yeah.
Prof? In
There's
a
something
contract?
yeah, there's something about confidence that sometimes knows no bounds.
Yes,
And that is what we
yes,
see here, where Antonio, I mean, sure of getting the ships into harbor, says, all the bluff you're talking about, you will cut a pound of flesh from me, and what I don't care. I know the ships are going to come, and at some point, if we are discussing, we are going to find, there is something about caution that people often need to be aware of.
yes.
Uh, we humans, you speak in absolute terms, and one will ask you the question, "How sure are you?" Of course,
How sure are
those,
you? Yes.
how sure are you? And those who think they believe in God will say, "Well, God willing, because I stand on the promise of God, I
Okay.
don't care." All those things. Okay.
Yeah. So when he said that, when Shylock said, go sign the paper with me, and anywhere I won't take the pound of flesh, I will take it if you don't pay. Basinio, his
Hmm.
friend, said, you shall not see you to such a bond for me.
Yeah.
I rather dwell in my necessity. So Brasinio said, don't do it. I'd rather be poor. Don't do it. But Antonio, like you say, the arrogance of certainty,
Yeah.
he say, why? Fear not, man. I would
Mhm.
not forfeit it within these 2 months. That's a
Okay.
month before this bond expires.
Mhm.
I expect a return of 3 times the value of
Yeah.
this bond.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Antonio is saying, what are you worrying about?
Mhm.
So Shylock says, oh, Father Abraham, what these Christians are. And then he
Mhm.
says, a pound of flesh taken from a man is not so estimable, profitable neither. So Shylock is just thinking about money. Shylock said, look, even if I take flesh from him, I'm getting no money. He
Mhm.
not beef or goat that I will get profit, you
Mhm.
know. And but he says to him, I am going to extend this friendship to Antonio. Either he take it or he leave it. Antonio said, I will see unto this bond.
Yeah.
Yeah. He will see unto the bond, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
he signed the paper. As Liberian people can say, he signs the bond. The bond is sealed. So now, after everything, right? He says, there are two important speeches in this play. The one by Portia and the one by Shylock. You see, Prof,
Mhm.
if you watch the movie and boy, I would say watch the Merchant of Venice, the one with Al Pacino in it. I think it's Al Pacino or is what's the other guy? But it's the Merchant of Venice. I think it's Al Pacino. You see how they used to spit on
Sherlock.
Shylock. So Shylock now he says when Brasino asks him, but why you need a man flesh? Shylock says to bait fish, it will feed my revenge. He had disgraced me and hindered me, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gain, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated my enemies. And what is his reason? I am a Jew. Have not a Jew eyes? Have not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? Are not Jews fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapon, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? If we are like you in the rest, we will resemble you in that if a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferings be by Christian? So Shiloh, finish telling you, I suffer under this man.
And yeah, it's again, we talked about the need for caution in what we
Mhm.
as human beings do because we cannot dwell in absolutes. We are not God.
Yes.
And here, Sherlock paints a picture of the reality of humanity, so
Yes.
that whatever you are in, whether it is economic, whether it is religious, and what have you, it is important, however high your station, it is very much important to deal with human beings just like you deal with yourself. We know the golden rule. We know the golden rule, which is uh, what Christ said to his disciples and all those who care to listen, that uh, whatsoever you feel, know that other people are feeling the same way. So you want to keep in mind, do unto others as you like them do unto you. Humanity
Yes.
is humanity, and it is very much important for us to know that. So, irrespective of the station we find ourselves in, it is important to take into consideration mutual respect. And it is the desire of mutual respect, Shylock is not getting that, and therefore, once he has the opportunity, he wants to rub it in the eyes of those who uh, who stand in the need. I mean, who stand in the situation of his wrath. That's what we see at play over there.
Yeah. So by Basinio, I mean, Antonio sends Basinio a letter. He says, "Sweet Basinio, my ships have all miscarried. My creditors grow cruel. My estate is very low. My bond to the Jew is forfeit. And since in paying it, it is impossible I should live. All debts are clear between you and I. If I might but see you at my death, notwithstanding you use your pleasure, if your love do not persuade you to come, let not my letter." So Antonio is writing Basinio to say, my man, the ships are not here. I'm going to die because the only way I can pay this debt is to die. And Shylock is saying, I have my bond. I will not hear thee speak, because Basinio is begging Shylock. Shylock said, I have my bond. Therefore, speak no more. I'll not be made a soft and dull-eyed fool to shake the head, relent, and sigh and yield to Christian intercessors. Follow not. I have no speaking. I will have my bond. So we come to that now,
Yeah.
right? They beg, and Shylock said, I don't even want to hear anything.
Yeah.
I want my pound of flesh. And I'm supposed to take it from any part of his body that I want.
Mm.
I want my pound of flesh. And what
And one
happens is that, mhm,
and one of the very interesting scenes in the play is when each time they are talking about the prospects of mercy, he keeps sharpening his machete.
it's nice.
Yeah, I want my pound of flesh. No more, no less.
I
I
mean,
want my pound of flesh.
and the thing is that uh the reason why I keep putting these things, and I'm sorry for the different PowerPoint, is that there's such beauty in the language that they're
Yeah.
using, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Solenio says they should go to the Duke, right? They should go beg the Duke so the Duke can change the law. Now, this is one thing that we Liberians should listen to: the surety of the law.
Yeah.
Antonio says the Duke cannot deny the course of law.
Mm-hmm.
For the commodity that strangers have with us in Venice, if it be denied, with much impeach the justice of the state.
Yeah.
Antonio is saying the law is the one that even strangers coming to Venice, they know that we respect the law.
The law is the
And the
law.
law is the law. You cannot change the law. So let me just get ready. They come and take my pound of flesh. So Basinio, he's still begging Charlotte. He said, this is no answer, thou unfeeling man, to excuse the current of thy cruelty.
Yeah.
And Shylock says, I am not bound to please you with my answers.
Mm-hmm.
And Basinio says to Shylock, do all men kill the things they do not love?
Mm-hmm.
And Shylock says, hate any man the thing he would not kill.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Basinio said, every offense is not a hate at first. And Shylock says, wouldst thou have a serpent sting thee twice?
Mm-hmm.
That is right there. So they're still talking now. Oh, Basinio say, oh, sometimes when we say something to you, it's not that we hate you. It's just that we are trying to fix something. And Shylock said, look, my man, I will not let serpent bite me 2 times. Just give me my pound of flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope people are listening and can join in the conversation, because that's what it is. The law is the law, and I'm going to pause it so we can talk a little bit about it before we go on. And this is the one that so I'll remove this one, which is slide 13. I'll remove it, Prof, so we can talk a little bit about what we've come to so far. So, Prof, you have Shylock. If you look at it, Prof, it's almost like Old Testament versus the New Testament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Old Testament is an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
It's the law. and the New Testament is about mercy,
Yeah.
right, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
But Shylock is not willing to forgive simply because, well, among the things is that Antonio was one of the ones that really treated Shylock very badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
So
are both in the business world. They are
yes, yes,
both in the business world. Each bringing a religious perspective. Each bringing a religious perspective. The Jews. You talk about Judaism, Christianity is especially, of course, following the path of Christ, believe in a second chance, believe in a second chance.
second chance. Yeah.
And they play, provides clutches at multiple levels. And that's what we see in the case of Shylock and Antonio, uh, with with the driving force being Bassanio's own interest in the money that he needed to being able to seal his marriage with Portia. Yes.
Yeah, but if you look at it, Antonio is not a good Christian either way, because
Yeah.
he spits on, and don't forget, during those times Jews were not citizens, so they
Uh,
were not Shiloh was not a citizen of Venice,
they
but yeah,
they
it's
were
Antonio.
in the diaspora.
Yeah, they were in the
Yeah.
diaspora. Yeah,
After
you
the
know.
sacking of Babylon. And,
But yeah, it's Antonio living a good life, And yes, Antonio, the Bible says, love your enemies, do good to them that
mhm.
hurt you. And he's not doing that either. And then yeah, it's
Well,
Shiloh.
well, you have
The
to
Ten
keep in
Commandments say, thou
mind
shalt
that,
not kill.
yeah, but you have to keep in mind that the early form of Christianity, of course, others do that today. You know, uh, the whole idea of being a Christian was seen in those days as a badge of pride. And on top of that, see that Antonio had money. And
Yeah,
those things working
yeah.
together would kind of drive someone's pride. And so one has to see uh, that Antonio was more of an epitome of Christian pride, epitome of economic pride, and that sort of a thing. So here we can talk about the fact that, hey, this guy was not a good Christian, what have you. Yet the reality is that if you follow Christian history, the history of Christianity, you will find out that, as it is even today, that there are some who see Christianity as a badge of, in fact, a passport to heaven, and therefore no other person is of interest when they talk about believing so much in themselves because they believe in God, that God is going to temper them and what have you. So the whole idea of understanding ourselves, because even the Christ whose life kind of brought about Christianity, often says something about the 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 danger of the arrogance of pride. So it is the humanity of Antonio that one has to also look at. It is the resentment of Christians towards other religions that also one has to look at. The idea that people have to take interest, because God Himself talk about what pride does in destroying individuals.
Okay, so now those who are listening, we're coming to part two now. So don't forget, Brazinio has married Portia. His friend had married Narisa. But in all of this now, there's an echo, Prof.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
in all of this, we have what? We have yeah, there is an echo.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, so
Is the echo coming only from me?
yeah, I would think so because I'm not hearing it on this side. If it is, if it is not intense, then we can still go on and all that.
So Brasinio is married to Portia now. And Portia gives him a ring. And Portia said, this ring, don't give it to anybody. The only time you can take this ring is if you die. Don't give this ring to anybody. And Brasinio say, upon my life, I will not give this ring to anybody. So they leave, and Portia is there. Now, in this mix, Shylock has a daughter. And in this aside, the daughter takes all of Shylock money and run away with a Christian guy.
Yeah,
And she's spending the money. So it even makes Shylock more angry against the
yeah,
Christians.
yeah,
Okay. So Portia is the wife now, or the fiancée or whatever of Brasinio. So she gives Brasinio the ring, and Brasinio leaves. But Portia and Narissa, they dress up like young lawyers,
yeah,
and they go to the court to plead for mercy from Shylock, because don't forget, the law is so secure that there is no coming back. They must give that pound of flesh.
yeah,
Antonio must give Shylock the pound of flesh. That's the bond. So there's no coming back. The only thing you can do is to beg Shylock for mercy.
yeah,
You can't say to him, "Oh, against the law." It's not against the law. Shylock
mm,
is right. It's in the law. So Portia and Narissa, they go to the court to go and plead. And Basilio is in the court, but he doesn't recognize Portia because Portia is dressed up like a young male lawyer.
yeah,
So Portia now comes into the court with Narissa, and I want to read when she gets in, and she asked for the document. So they gave her the document so she can see the document. It hasn't come up on this my screen yet. I think that it takes a long time for it to come up on my screen, Prof. I don't know what's happening to my thing, but Portia says she wants the or he, because it's her in the court, he's Balthazar. Right,
yeah,
Prof? Balthazar, because he's the one. So he and I cannot see the screen. I will try and see if I can put it back, and maybe it can come back now, and we'll see. Or maybe I could even go online and read it. This is frustrating. Hold on, Prof. So she. Oh, okay. I can't even. Okay. If you have the book, Prof, you could try and find it. I can't. Okay,
I
I
see.
can't.
I see. Portia is now
Okay,
Balthazar.
yeah, and she says to him, "Is your name Shylock?" And Shylock says, "Shylock is my name." And so Portia says to Shylock, "Of a strange nature is the suit you follow. Yet, in such rule that the Phoenician law cannot impugn you as you do proceed." Then she turned, so she said, "The law is the law." So she turned to Antonio. She said, "You stand within his danger, do you not?" Antonio said, "Yes." So he says, so she asked Antonio, "Do you confess the bond?" Antonio said, "I do." Then she turns to Shylock and say, "Then must the Jew be merciful?" And Shylock said, "On what compulsion must I? Tell me that."
Okay.
So Prof, the man is ready,
Yeah.
he's willing, and he's able, because he's not going to be merciful. There's nothing
Mm,
that's going to make him merciful, He said, On what compulsion must I? Tell me that." Oh, and then this is the one that is very small. But Prof, I will move this, and you know what comes next, Prof?
yeah.
The thing
They.
you guys made us memorize. You made us
Yeah.
look. You guys made us memorize
Well, that
this.
was the thing about it. You keep talking about you guys made us this. It's when you get into drama,
Yes.
when you get into drama. In fact, literature as such, there is an element of savoring the language of a text,
Yes.
and
That's
in
why
the
I put this because yeah.
and in the context of a play, sometimes the play comes alive when you make students or you make the audience to savor the words,
Yeah. Oh, Prof. We
the color,
memorize this thing.
the
Yes.
color, and the spirit of the words should be able to, magnetize people. Should be able to put people in the context, the aura, the atmosphere of the what? Of the ideas that are being expressed. See the
Okay.
beauty,
So
see the beauty
yeah.
of that language. The
Prof.
quality.
Of mercy.
Go
No, no,
ahead.
no, Prof. Let's do. Yeah. No, 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 no. You memorize it. So you read it.
Yeah, the quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Can you just those two lines at first? Look at it.
Ah, the
Upon the
quality of
face
mercy is
beneath.
not strange.
Yes, yeah. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him,
Blessed him that gives,
yes, and him that what? Takes.
that takes.
Can you just
Tis
imagine?
mightiest in the mightiest it becomes.
Of
The
course.
true monarch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the
Word.
quality of mercy is not strange. Droppeth from the gentle dew upon the earth beneath. It is twice blessed. It blessed him that gives and him that takes. Tis
Yes.
mightiest in the mightiest it becomes. The true monarch better than his scepter crown. I know
Oh
that
yes.
part.
You see the rhythm and everything are packed up in there.
It is an attribute to God Himself.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So that's why I said when I said these are the two best or the signature speeches.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. It's but and Nangbe and Prince. I mean, I don't know who else is listening, but you guys have to read this play.
Yeah.
So
And
she's
when you are
saying
reading,
to
read
she's
aloud.
saying
Read
to
aloud so you
yeah,
get a
read it
sense of
loud
it.
so you can hear it.
You did very well.
So Portia, dressed as a lawyer, she's saying to Shylock, you know, we don't have to force you. The quality of mercy is not strained.
Yes.
It droppeth as the gentle dew from
Yeah.
heaven upon the earth beneath. It is twice blessed. It
Yeah.
blessed him that gives and him that takes. So she's trying to convince Shylock, that, please have mercy, and Shylock is looking at her and or him, because he's Balthazar now. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, please, yeah. So, Shylock is just looking at her reading, and he's saying, I know he's saying that whatever would they get or they men,
Mhm.
just give me my pound of flesh. Let me
Yeah.
let me go.
Yeah.
Prof. So she's done, right? She's done
Yeah.
begging,
Mhm.
because that's the only thing she can do. She can only beg him. There's nothing else she can do. So
Mhm.
Shylock, of course, says no. I want my pound of flesh, and I don't know why it's not showing again. But again,
And
they're begging him.
yeah, one of the things, because uh, in the banner, what is it? The banner PowerPoint. There are three words out there: justice. Now,
Mhm.
justice, we have to understand, is the act of seeking to establish harmony and balance in society. Justice is a way of trying to establish harmony and balance in society. And law is the means or tool of achieving this harmony and balance. And yet there is another aspect, which is mercy. Mercy is intended to soften. Mercy is intended to serving, to achieving this harmony and balance. It is the softener. Mercy is the softener, and one has to be very much in the know of that as we go through the play. Justice is to establish what? Harmony and uh, and balance in society. Something might have been disrupted, and justice seeks to do that. And law happens to be the means, the tool of achieving that. Yet, there is an art of mercy that people should not forget.
The one that made me laugh was after Balthazar or Portia, after
Mhm.
she says, there is no power in Venice
Mhm.
that can change a decree once it's established,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Shylock is so happy.
Yes.
He's so happy. He says, a Daniel come to judgment. A Daniel.
Yes, yeah. This, you see, that is, that is the very, one of the interesting things. Yes, when Balthazar is speaking. Oh my God! Hello, hello. Are we there? Are
Yes,
you there?
can you see me? Yes, I'm
Yes.
here.
Once, no, once this this lawyer is speaking the language that Sherlock wants to hear, oh, I'm lost. Hello, are you there?
No, I can. Yeah, you can hear
Hello.
me? Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
That's technology having its foolishness again here. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once Sherlock thinks that Portia, who is Balthazar, is speaking his language, he is all excited. And that's when, as you were saying, he uses the a Daniel. A Daniel has come to
Yes.
judgment. Yes,
he says, a wise young judge, how I
yes.
do honor thee.
Aha.
he says, and in the course of justice, none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy. Okay, so he said, my deeds. So then the guy says, we pray for mercy. And that same prayer that teach us all to render the deeds of mercy, I have spoken this much. Shylock says, my deeds are upon my head. I crave the law.
Uh-huh. Do, do,
So
do
then,
you do,
what?
do you hear the echo of when Christ was brought out by Pontius Pilate,
Yeah,
and the Jews said, "Yes, crucify Christ. Let his blood be on our what? Let his blood be on our heads."
on
Do
our
you see the
heads.
echo
Yeah,
of that? Yes. Uh-huh.
yes, yes, yes. So then Portia asked them, is he not able to discharge the money? And Basilio says 3 times. We're
Mhm.
not only going to pay it once. We got the money to pay him 3 times.
Yes.
Right? The man say, I don't want the money.
Yes. I want my pound of flesh.
I want my pound of flesh. I don't want any money. Yeah. So then comes the coup de grace.
Yes.
Portia tells Antonio, move your. He said, where do you want him to take the pound of flesh? He said, from under his heart, from
Uh-huh.
right there, because he
Yes.
knows that will kill him. He said, I want
Yes.
it from his heart, right that piece there.
Yes.
So Portia tells Antonio to take off his shirt or his
Mm.
tunic or whatever to prepare for the knife.
Uh-huh.
And Shylock cannot contain himself. He's like, oh Daniel, oh let,
Yes.
and he's sharpening his knife.
Yes.
But then
Uh-huh.
Portia says to him, Portia says to him, do you have the scale to measure? And that's when he's like, what you mean the weight, the scale to measure?
Yes.
Because Portia says it says a pound of flesh, nothing more. So you cannot say you cutting 1.5 pounds.
You want
It got to be
exactitude. You want
exactly.
exactitude. I'm going to give you exactitude.
Yes. And not one blood, because there's nothing there that says blood. It says pound
Yes.
of flesh. They say blood. So there
Yes.
must be no blood.
Powerful.
Already you can see Shiloh saying, but what's wrong with it?
Yes. The thing coming to it's coming to boomerang. Yes, it's coming to boomerang.
Yeah, so he said, what wrong with the woman or this
Yeah.
man talking about? He said, when you cut it must be exactly 1 pound.
Hmm.
You can't make 1 pound, 1 ounce. It must be one
Yes.
pound.
Yes.
And there must be no blood,
Hmm.
because there's nothing that I say blood. It say 1 pound of flesh,
You want a
no blood.
law? I'm going to give you the law.
I give you the law. I give you the law. Yeah. When Portia said to him, "You must prepare your bosom for his knife," Shiloh said, "Oh noble judge, oh excellent young man, oh wise and upright judge, you are more elder than you look."
Yes.
I'm sorry, when I was
Yes.
reading it, I was just laughing. So of course he can do that. He
Yes.
can. Shiloh cannot cut the man's chest, Antonio's chest, and not spill blood, right? So
Yes.
of course, after all of that, the part that made me sad was that Shylock said, "Then give me the money." They said, "No, take your flesh." So
That's what he
after all
wanted.
of that, now I think that they treated Shylock very shabbily, because Antonio now, when they said what to be done to Shylock, Antonio, who is supposed to show Christian mercy, don't forget, he was the one who signed the bond, Prof. Nobody forced him to sign. He says,
Mm.
if it please my lord the duke to quit the fine for one half of his goods, I am content, so he will let me have the other half. And upon his death, unto the gentleman that stole his daughter, then he wants the man to become a Christian.
Yeah.
And then he must record a gift in a quote to his son and his daughter. And then the
Yeah.
duke said he should do this. And then they turn around and ask Shylock, "Are you contented, Jew? What does that say?" And poor Shylock, he said, "I am content." No, Prof.
Yeah.
I did not sit right by me at all. No.
But
First of all, I think Shakespeare wanted Christianity to always win. But
well,
Antonio was not a
you,
good Christian. Antonio was
uh,
not a good Christian. You know, he
well,
was not. Oh,
this
and then one other thing. Sorry, Prof. I'm sorry.
eh?
No, I'm listening.
No, the thing about it is that we can when you take the present lens and you are looking at things in the past, it is often unfair or usually unfair to do that. So this whole idea of whether or not Antonio was not a good Christian and that sort of a thing, we also have to bring the past perspective of the the tenor of the times during which these incidents were said to have occurred. If we look at it from this particular moment, our present moment, yes, we can condemn what was going on, but see what fear, see what anxiety that that Sherlock took through Antonio. who was working in behalf of his friend Bassanio. Now the tables have turned. That is all the reason why. What we need to keep in mind is that uh, when a friend is in a situation, I know we can try to kind of rise above whatever situation we find ourselves. When someone is in a particular situation, you who may not be in that situation should not glory in the sad circumstance of an individual. Failing to do that, you never know the next turn what is going to happen in your case. That is why being as much as possible merciful at all times or empathetic at all times is very much important. And that is one of the things I would think that comes out of this play.
Yeah, I really like the I said 2004, or yeah, I think 2004, Merchant of Venice, because it shows you how they treated poor Shylock so, I mean, prof, so badly, you
Mm,
know. And if you look at that play,
I don't know. Yeah.
at the end, Antonio could have shown mercy. He did not.
Mm,
And then one
mm,
of the other things is that, of course, when they went back, what's his name? When they went back, Portia, when she went back to Brasilio, she asked him, she said, "But where's my ring?" Because don't
mhm.
forget, when she was in the courtroom, after they had won the case,
Yeah.
Brasilio said to her, "We can give you anything you want." And because he didn't know it was his wife dressed like a male lawyer,
Mm,
the male lawyer said, "I want that ring on your finger." And he said,
mhm.
"I can give you anything you want except the ring."
Yeah.
And they said, "I want that ring." So when he went home and Portia asked him about the ring, and he told Portia, said, "I'm so sorry, this is what happened." And then Portia revealed that it was her. She was the one
Okay.
who was the young lawyer. Yeah, but I
And
mean, it's a very good play. I don't think it's a comedy, but I really
no,
really like the Merchant of Venice.
what's the comedy? What is comedy? Comedy has a what? A pleasant ending. You have to keep that in mind. Tragedy is what ends in disaster and what have you. So it is upon that premise that you we need to understand that it is a comedy. Comedy ends in laughter. Comedy ends in the releasing of tension and what have you, as opposed to tragedy, which ends on a very sad note.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Merchant of Venice. I think that Brasilio had no right asking Antonio for the money after Antonio had then Antonio informing him about his precarious situation. He still
Mm,
said, "Oh well," but Antonio was very arrogant that he thought
mm,
that these ships were coming. There was
mm.
money, and like you I think one of our viewers said, he was arrogant. He didn't know about the shipping business.
No, well, it's not a
Yes,
matter of not he was not aware of. No one knows what the future holds. One is not a matter of he didn't know what would happen or what. Sherlock, who had been trading too, knew what would be a fault,
yes,
and knowing that out, you know, Sherlock has had his moments. We will assume that Sherlock has had his moments with disasters and what have you, and therefore if he were asked, he would have what tampered the surety and all that with some sort of a caution, and we would think that Sherlock was an older person. But in the case of Antonio and Bassanio, these people were younger. That is the thing about youth and what? And adulthood or youth and age.
yeah,
So that also comes into a way of looking at the relationships and what have you. Older people move with caution, younger people tend to move with what? With rashness and what have you. And that's also what you see in the case of the play.
But I would never sign, knowing full well how Venice, the law is the law. I would never sign for you to take a pound of flesh. You know, you know
And
what, Prof?
yeah, go ahead. I don't know
No, I wish Shylock had said, you know what, I will cut that pound of flesh.
mhm.
And let me see what will happen. Because honestly, they treated Shylock shabbily, and but will see when she watches the movie, the video this weekend, and watch the 2004. Don't watch anyone, the one with Al Pacino, because that is the one that really will show you what it was, how they treated him. Yeah.
You keep emphasizing this. Well, again, this is again what happens when you studying literature and what have you. Uh, the idea that you are given the opportunity to be judgmental or to try as much as possible to weigh circumstances and what have you. On the note of Shylock being treated shabbily, as you saying, one has to keep in mind that the matter of causation, one has to look at causal relationships and what have you. We can, from a different perspective, ask the question: is it fair for Shylock to being treated that way? And also, is it fair that uh, Shylock would treat the Antonio team in a way to a kind of step up the hypertension that was running through running through Antonio? That, remember now, at some point he wrote Bassanio saying, "My man, the game is over. Lola, I'm gonna die." Or, remember the instrument we signed. If I didn't produce the money, I would lose a pound of my flesh, and God knows where the guy would not want to take it from. So here am I'm about to die, and all that kind of a thing. Except for Portia coming in, and it would have been a different what? It would have been a different ball game. So he made Shallow made poor Antonio to kind of think about death 240 times. And so when the tables were turned, he said, "Well, look, and you say pepper can hurt in one person's eye. I'll rub it in your eye too." So anyway, we can talk about uh, this whole idea of revenge. They say vengeance is the Lord. Uh, you know, and that also, if we are teaching this play, we have to keep in mind, if we ask people, what do you uh, say about revenge? Should people revenge and what have you? Others should be able to say, well, it is better to treat people with mercy and what have you. And that's where you ask the question and leave it to the audience to be able to decide whatever line each member will toe.
Yeah, because like we're talking about the surety of the law.
Mhm.
It brings to mind that book, God or Human History. You
Yes,
know,
yes, yes, yes. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it's like, it's like sometimes it's like God said, "Thou shalt not steal," right?
Yeah.
And you say, God, if I do this, I'm sure God will see that I'm hungry or
Yeah.
something. So it's like you're bargaining with God,
Yes.
or you say Jesus is God is my friend. Really, is
Yes.
God your friend? God is a supreme being, and
Yeah.
God. And I think somebody wrote here that uh, 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 um, disobedience has consequences. So if God is a supreme being and God say, if you steal, you will be punished. But then you bargaining with God to say, in my circumstances,
Yeah.
I stole for a reason that,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be punished because yes, the reason I stole. But God
Yeah.
is not one to say, okay, Jackie stole, so I will forgive Jackie, but I will not
Yeah.
forgive Nangwe. No,
Uh-huh.
no, 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 no.
Uh-huh.
God said thou shalt
Uh-huh.
not steal.
Mm.
So the consequences will come, whether or
Yeah.
not you bargain with God.
Yeah.
It's like I heard a funny thing one time about some miners who were working in a diamond mine, and then they stole some diamonds, right? And
Yeah.
then when they went to church, they were telling the pastor, say, "Oh, God with me, oh. Nobody saw me when I stole the diamond. God really protected me."
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
effect, you are making God into your image of what
Image.
you God should
Yes.
be,
Yes. Yes.
not what
And
God is.
mhm.
Yeah.
And
So 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 um mhm.
human beings are like that. Human beings are like that. The idea that we God will punish you. You are not God. God will punish you. That sort of a thing. Human beings often try as much as possible to create God in their own image. And that's part of
Yeah.
why things happen the way they do in our human world.
Yeah, and also if you look at this play and you see God as the law, right, of
Yeah,
Venice, and God is the law. So it's unchanging.
yeah,
That law was not going to change. That law said
yeah,
upon the flesh.
yeah.
All
The
you can
contract.
do, all you can do is mercy.
Yes,
You know,
mercy.
if you're going to punish me, God, I beg you for
Yeah,
mercy.
yeah, mercy.
So
Yeah,
maybe the punishment will not be harsh, but you
yeah,
will be punished.
yes,
Something
yes.
like that. But you
Mhm,
can't bargain with God to say, "Oh, I stole, but don't punish me."
yeah.
Because I stole.
Mhm,
That's not the way it works. Because even Portia realizes that the law is the law, and she says to
mhm.
Antonio, "You ready to take out your check?"
Yes, yes. Betting on Charlotte. When Charlotte
Yeah,
hears that, she say, "Oh, hey Daniel,
Daniel.
yeah, Daniel come to judgment." But when the tables are
Shylock,
turned,
Shylock,
then uh,
Shylock said, "Oh, you look older than you are wiser than you look."
yes, that's right. Yes, what kind of young person is so wise in age? I mean, wise in thinking and all that kind of a thing. She's the Portia woman say, "I'm coming for you." Uh, yes. Hmm.
Yeah, and then to crown it up, you got the man daughter Jessica not
Hmm.
only stealing the man money, but just using the money all kinds of
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
And that hurts Shylock as well
hmm,
because he was a very frugal,
yeah.
parsimonious
Hmm.
person.
Hmm.
Yeah, he didn't like spending money.
Hmm.
And that was one of the criticism he had against Antonio, that Antonio
Yeah,
was always carrying the price down. Yeah,
yes. Hmm. And
but I
lowering
think that,
interest and
yeah,
all that kind of a thing.
lowering interest. But I still think
Hmm.
that Antonio could have shown mercy. I mean,
Hmm.
to say to the man that he must become a Christian, what is
Hmm.
that? You know,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, yeah,
if you Christians, those who are fired up for the religion, they try as much as possible to find every opportunity, every circumstance to be able. For him, it was another way of evangelizing. If
yes,
I have to
yes.
get it some kind of way, I've got to get it some kind of way, and uh, insist upon certain things that you have to get done. And that was the case with Antonio. You see.
But anyway,
So
it was.
yeah, it's again we started off by saying that this play is multi-layered, and that is one of the beautiful things about a piece of literature when it is so multi-layered that many in the audience coming to the text can leave with certain things uh, that form the web of lessons to learn. Then that's a powerful thing. Remember the last time we talked about perspectives,
Yes.
and here this play provides an opportunity for us to look at multiple perspectives coming out of what Shakespeare did.
I think that Shakespeare was not going to ever let Christianity not win.
Well, well, again, that's your perspective. So I'll take it. And at that point, it's again, it's human. Uh, you tend to. It may not be the wisest thing to do, but the perspective that you believe in, you try as much as possible to a kind of foist it on other people. Remember the sixth blind of Hindustan. He
Yeah,
believed that he understood in the mind's eye what an elephant was. What an elephant was. Now, here you find out that Antonio um, was a Christian, whatever the color of Christianity was, and once he had the opportunity, he wanted to. And when you take it from the point of view of the playwright, uh, in those days, and uh, in Antonio's life and in Shakespeare's life, Christianity was making its own uh, glory and all that, and therefore, if one had the opportunity to speak or to say something, obviously that would be the line to toe.
anyway, I mean, it was. I love the language
Yeah,
in the
the
play.
language.
It's a good play. Yeah.
Mm.
So we've come to the end of our quality of mercy is not strained today. So, Prof, any
Yeah,
last suggestions, last tidbits before we bid adieu?
yeah. Again, remember the banner words: justice. Uh, justice tends to create harmony out of disharmony, and one aspect of how to do that is to bring in the power of the law. And yet, there is another aspect which has to do with softening the edges of the law. And in what we've seen, we see the triple elements of peace, the triple, TRIPAL, of peace. If we want to establish peace, yes, we have to think about justice. Yes, we have to think about law, but also we need to think about the quality of the mercy that we show so that in the end, that is why in the world of law, people think about things like mediation, people think about arbitration, you know, instead of thinking about adversarial law. Adversarial law says that, look, the deal is cut or the situation presents itself, we must cut it without thinking about which party gets hurt. That is what adversarial law does. It doesn't care about which party gets hurt. Once one party wins, that is it. And that is where, for instance, the importance of sometimes the the whole idea of conflict management or conflict resolution will come into the picture. We want to get into other aspects. Arbitration, we want to get into mediation as opposed to adversarial law. We see in the Merchant of Venice this whole idea of adversarial law, but we have to be very careful how we dispense the law so that both parties leaving the setting, leaving the venue, should be able to be at least a little satisfied. And that is what is important, especially in our case, in the Liberian case. We would think that because we don't hear ballistics, okay, we don't hear bombs and what have you, we think all is well in Liberia. And people have to be very careful about the importance of arbitration, about the importance of mediation, so that by the time people leave the zone of a particular case, both sides need to be satisfied. And I think it's very much important in what people need to get out of this particular play, which is The Merchant of Venice.
Yeah, I think that also you're right. Even now, people are becoming, well, not the big names, but the people are becoming less adversarial. They are going towards mediation more,
Yeah.
arbitration, because
Mhm.
it seems as if it's the kind of thing that people should be going to. I think that like I say, I think that reading Merchant of Venice again, I think when you're grown and you read a book for the second time, or a
Yeah.
play or whatever,
Mhm.
you bring lived experiences to it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I felt that, oh, some of the things that I thought, I mean, even when you're looking in books, they're calling Charlotte a miser, they're calling
Mhm.
Charlotte almost a Scrooge, and
Yeah.
I was like, what, I don't
Mhm.
agree.
Mhm.
When I was younger, yeah, I did agree, but not anymore. I think
Mhm.
that he was also scorned living in
Mhm.
a community,
Yeah.
that he was the other, the
Yeah.
marginalized,
Yeah.
and the people who were in power also took advantage of him. His job was to be someone who gives loans with interest.
Mhm.
He didn't force anybody to go there. You chose to go there. And to make him the villain, I thought that was very unfair. I mean, the second time after reading the book, yeah. But we want to say thank you to all of you who've been here. But watch the show, watch the movie this weekend, and enjoy yourself with Merchant of Venice. It's really a good movie. All of you, thank you. Thanks for those who are Nangbe for watching from Liberia. I
Yeah.
hope we didn't finish your data.
Mhm.
Have a safe weekend.
Yeah.
For those of you who will be not working on Monday or working on Monday, enjoy the weekend. And we'll see you again next week. And
Yeah.
don't forget, as we always say, we're all Liberians. I mean, Shylock's not a Liberian, but I'm sure there are other people.
Yeah.
I'm just making fun. Yeah, we're all Liberians, and we always say lift Liberia up.
Yeah.
No country is 100% bad, and no country is 100% good. Liberia is the roof, and we are the rooms. So lift our country up. We are all Liberians. So good night and God bless.
Yeah.
Yeah, good night, Prof.
We are Liberians.